Part 1. The cousin who tried to kill the Buddha, and what it means for us today. You're sitting quietly under a tree, lost in meditation. The air is still. The world, for a moment, is silent. And then, boom! The earth trembles. Something's coming. You open your eyes and see a massive, furious elephant, drunk out of its mind, charging straight at you. But here's the real twist. This isn't just a wild animal out of control. This elephant was sent, and not by some bandit or rival king. It was sent by your cousin, your childhood best friend. That's not fiction. That's history, at least according to ancient Buddhist texts like the Vinaya Pitaka and Kulavagga. And the man behind that attack? His name was Devadatta. If you've ever heard of someone being the Judas of Buddhism, that's him. But honestly, Judas only betrayed once. Devadatta, he tried 3 times. This story isn't just betrayal. It's an entire saga of envy, revenge, spiritual downfall, and forgiveness. And what makes it so powerful is this. It's not about some villain out there. It's about someone close, family. So let's rewind. Who was Devadatta really? And how did the Buddha's own cousin become his greatest enemy? They were born into the same royal family, raised in the same palace. 2 boys, 2 princes, 2 paths. On one side you had Siddhartha. You probably know him as the Buddha, the chosen one. From the time he was born, people were already whispering about prophecies, great things, enlightenment. And then there was Devadatta, also talented, strong, skilled in weapons, wrestling, politics. People admired him too, but no one said he'd change the world. Now, imagine being that second kid, always second best, always compared. Every festival, every royal gathering, someone's praising Siddhartha's calm, his wisdom, his smile, and you are the other one, the shadow. If you've ever had a sibling or cousin who just seemed to shine a little brighter, you know that sting, that slow burn of jealousy. Not loud, not explosive, just always there. As the years passed, Siddhartha left the palace, renounced royalty, and eventually became the Buddha, the enlightened one. Suddenly kings are bowing to him. Entire cities walk for days just to hear him speak. Thousands follow him, not just for his wisdom, but for liberation. And Devadatta? He watched it all from the sidelines. The kid who was supposed to be a warrior, now staring at a cousin who became a spiritual superstar. That jealousy, it didn't fade. It grew, and it started eating away at him. At first, maybe Devadatta admired his cousin. Maybe he tried to follow in his footsteps. But somewhere along the line, the admiration turned sour. He didn't just want to compete with Buddha, he wanted to erase him. And that's where this gets dark. His first plan, wild. Ancient India. No bullets, no modern poisons. So what does Devadatta use? An elephant. Not just any elephant, but a war elephant named Nalagiri, already massive and aggressive. But Devadatta gets him drunk. Yes, literally on fermented rice liquor until the beast is staggering, out of control. He picks the perfect morning. Buddha is walking through the narrow streets of Rajagaha, peacefully collecting alms. Devadatta knows this routine. He waits until the moment is right, and then releases Nalagiri. Can you imagine the panic? The ground shakes, people scream, monks scatter. A thunderous elephant charges down the street, eyes glazed with rage and alcohol, straight towards the Buddha. "Run," his disciples yell. But Buddha doesn't move. He just stands there, calm, still. And then something no one expected happens. The closer the elephant gets, the calmer Buddha becomes. He doesn't shout, he doesn't defend himself. He simply radiates metta, loving kindness. Not fear, not anger, just pure, unconditional compassion. And somehow, Nilagiri slows down, stops, and gently lowers himself before the Buddha like he's bowing. Silence. Buddha places a hand on the elephant's trunk, whispers something only Nilagiri hears. A monster transformed by love. And Devadatta, watching from the shadows, furious.
His perfect assassination plan had just made his rival look even more divine. The people were amazed, the elephant trainers speechless. Even the monks were shaken. This wasn't just survival, it felt like a miracle. But Devadatta wasn't done. If animals couldn't kill Buddha, maybe he'd have to do it himself. Now comes the second attempt, and this one, even more cold-blooded. Devadatta starts studying Buddha's habits, his favorite places, his quiet hours. One spot stands out, Vulture Peak, a rocky, high mountain where Buddha often meditated and gave teachings. Isolated, quiet, perfect. Devadatta hikes up ahead of him, waits in hiding, finds a giant boulder, heavy enough to crush a man, and positions it right above the path Buddha always walks. Moments later, the Buddha is approaching, peaceful, meditative, unaware. As he passes beneath the cliff, Devadatta pushes the rock. It tumbles, gathers speed, bounces down, heading straight for Buddha's head. But once again, impossibly, it doesn't go as planned. The rock hits another stone, splits in two. One piece lands harmlessly. The other, it strikes Buddha's foot. Blood, pain. It's the only time in all the ancient scriptures that Buddha is said to have bled. He looks down at his wound, then up. He sees Devadatta. Their eyes meet. But Buddha doesn't yell, doesn't accuse, doesn't even flinch, just wraps his foot and keeps walking. And that calm response, it drives Devadatta mad. Because while he's drowning in hatred, Buddha meets it with silence. And in that silence, Devadatta's rage only grows.
Part 2. Assassins, Betrayals, and the Collapse of a Cousin. 2 murder attempts, 2 failures. And instead of ruining Buddha's image, Devadatta is making him look like a living saint. But Devadatta isn't giving up. Not even close. If he can't kill the Buddha with elephants or boulders, maybe it's time to bring in professionals. And this next move, it's straight out of a thriller. He goes to King Ajatashatru, one of the most powerful rulers in ancient India. A young king, ambitious, craving more power. Devadatta offers him a deal. You take the throne, I'll take the Sangha. Together, we control the world. The king agrees, and their next plan is chilling. They hire an assassin, a killer whose fingernails have been soaked in poison. One scratch, one touch, and you're dead within hours. No blade, no blood. Just quiet, invisible death. But Devadatta isn't taking chances. If this guy fails, there's a second wave of assassins waiting. If they fail, a third wave will eliminate everyone involved. It's like a pyramid scheme of murder. The first assassin sneaks into a gathering where Buddha is teaching. He moves closer. One scratch, that's all it'll take. He raises his hand. But then something strange happens. He locks eyes with Buddha. Just a glance. Then he hears his voice. And in that moment,
something breaks inside him. The hatred, the mission, the plan, it all collapses. This trained killer falls to his knees and sobs. He confesses everything: Devadatta's plan, the king's involvement, the layers of backup, all of it. Buddha just listens. No anger, no judgment. Then he says, "Your honesty has saved you. Go in peace." Just like that, this assassin becomes a monk. And the story doesn't end there. The backup assassins, they hear what happened. Each one, shaken by what they witnessed, comes forward, confesses, and one by one, they too become monks. Imagine that, a death squad turned spiritual disciples because one man chose compassion over punishment. When King Ajatashatru hears about this total collapse of the plan, he panics. But instead of sending soldiers or issuing threats, he gets a message from the Buddha. "I forgive you. Rule your kingdom in peace. No retaliation, no vengeance, just a reminder. Love is more powerful than fear." And while all this is happening, Devadatta is watching everything fall apart. Again. The elephant failed. The rock failed. The assassins, now bald, wearing robes and meditating under trees. So Devadatta shifts tactics. If he can't kill the Buddha, maybe he can destroy his teaching. This time, Devadatta's move is more cunning, more subtle. He goes straight to the source, the monks, the Sangha, the heart of the Buddhist community. In front of hundreds of followers, he stands up and says, "Our teacher has gone soft, too lenient, too comfortable. Buddhism needs to be pure again, so I propose changes." He starts listing them. All monks must live only in forests. All monks must eat only food they beg for. All monks must wear only discarded rags. All monks must sleep under trees every night and never, ever eat meat. Now, on the surface, these sound noble, strict, spiritual.
But Buddha sees through the act. This isn't about purity, it's about control. If the rules are too extreme, only the most devoted and most easily manipulated will stay. And those monks? Devadatta wants to lead them. Buddha's response is simple, wise. These rules can be followed by those who wish to, but they should not be required. That one sentence punctures Devadatta's entire power play. But Devadatta's not done. He's been preparing. Secretly, he's been gathering support, whispering in the ears of younger monks, promising a truer path, telling them the Buddha is too old, too soft, too worldly. And it works. About 500 monks, yes, 500, follow Devadatta. They walk away from the Buddha, from the Sangha, from everything. Can you imagine that moment? Buddha watching, silent, as his cousin, his childhood playmate, leads away hundreds of disciples claiming to be the true heir of his teachings. But Buddha doesn't shout, doesn't chase after them, doesn't argue. He simply continues teaching. And in that silence, something starts to shift. Because without Buddha around to compete with, Devadatta begins to show his true nature. Strict becomes harsh. Devotion becomes control. His version of Buddhism, less about compassion, more about obedience. Question him, and you're punished. Disagree, and you're shamed. The 500 monks, they start noticing. The man who promised purity is obsessed with power. The teachings feel heavy. Fear replaces peace. And slowly, they start coming back, one by one. Ashamed, confused, sorry. They return to the Buddha expecting anger or at least disappointment. Instead, they get this: welcome home. No punishment, no speeches, no conditions, just a quiet embrace. But Devadatta, he's left with nothing. His plans failed, his followers gone, his image shattered. And now, karma comes knocking.
Part 3. Redemption, Karma, and what Devadatta really taught the Buddha. Devadatta is dying, alone, in pain, his body failing, his mind tormented. He once stood before kings, rallied hundreds of monks, plotted to reshape the entire Buddhist order. Now, he can't stand, can't eat, can't think straight. But even now, in his last hours, the Buddha does something unimaginable. He comes to see him. Think about that. This man tried to kill you multiple times, turned friends against you, wounded you, betrayed your teachings, and yet you walk to his bedside, not with revenge, but with compassion. Devadatta sees him approaching, and panic flashes in his eyes. He knows he's running out of time, and the one person who can grant him peace is standing before him. He tries to sit up. He can't. Tries to bow. His body won't let him. But he lifts his hands, trembling, and whispers, "I take refuge in the Buddha." That's it. His final breath. And in response, Buddha does something only a truly awakened being could do. He places his hand gently on Devadatta's forehead and says, "Your recognition of truth creates merit. You are not completely lost." And then Devadatta dies. But his death, it's not quiet. The ancient texts say the ground shook, flames erupted, the earth itself split open beneath him, thunder roared through the skies. It's as if the universe itself bore witness to the collapse of a man destroyed by his own hatred and the final flicker of redemption. That moment wasn't just the end of a villain. It was the culmination of a tragic, very human story. A story of someone who started with admiration but let jealousy eat away at his soul. Someone who stood in the same palace as a future Buddha but couldn't let go of the need to outshine him. Someone who lost everything and still found a sliver of light at the very end. Later, when the disciples asked the Buddha about Devadatta, he didn't say enemy. He didn't say traitor. He said something that stunned them all. Devadatta was my teacher as much as I was his. They were confused. How could the one who tried to kill him be his teacher? Buddha explained. He taught me compassion by showing me hatred. He taught me patience by testing mine. He taught me forgiveness by doing the unforgivable. And suddenly, it all made sense. So, let's bring it back to us. You might not have a cousin trying to crush you with boulders or send elephants after you, hopefully, but you might have a Devadatta in your life. Someone close, someone who once loved you, admired you, but something changed. Jealousy, competition, misunderstanding. They turned against you. Maybe it's a sibling, a parent, a friend, someone who should have had your back, but instead became your burden. So what do you do with people like that? Buddha's story gives us a roadmap. Lesson 1. Toxic people aren't born evil. Devadatta wasn't a monster from the beginning. He was a kid, a cousin, a prince. But over time, jealousy twisted him. It happens. In our own lives, the people who hurt us the most are often the ones who started out close. Sometimes their darkness is just pain turned inside out. Lesson 2. Fighting them just feeds the fire. Every time Devadatta attacked, Buddha could have fought back. He could have humiliated him, banished him. But instead, he responded with kindness. And that kindness? It didn't stop the attacks, but it protected Buddha's own peace. What if we did the same? What if we stopped feeding toxic energy with our own? Lesson 3. Your enemies might be your greatest teachers. It sounds wild, but the people who challenge us the most often give us the greatest chance to grow. Buddha became Buddha not just because of his meditation or wisdom, but because of how he handled betrayal, violence, and hate with grace. Your Devadatta? They might be giving you the opportunity to become you, your most loving, most resilient, most powerful self. Lesson 4. Redemption is possible, even in the last breath. Devadatta tried to kill the Buddha 3 times, but in the very end, with nothing left, he whispered one sentence, and it changed everything. We all mess up, sometimes badly, but this story reminds us it's never too late to reach for light. Lesson 5. You can't control others, you can only control your response. The world is going to throw elephants, boulders, betrayal, heartbreak. People will misunderstand you, envy you, maybe even try to destroy you. But your power lies in this. You choose how to respond. Buddha responded with compassion, not because Devadatta deserved it, but because he did. He deserved peace, freedom, clarity, and so do you. So next time someone close to you turns against you, think of Devadatta, not just as a warning, but as a mirror. Will you let their poison shape your story? Or will you, like the Buddha, take the higher path, not to look holy, but to be free? Because compassion isn't something you give others because they deserve it. You give it because you deserve freedom. Freedom from hate, from anger, from the cycle of pain. Buddha didn't just teach that, he lived it. And now it's your turn. If this story hit you deep, made you reflect on your own life, or gave you a new way to think about forgiveness, hit that like button and subscribe. This channel is all about ancient wisdom for modern hearts. You never know, your story, your comment, might be the one someone else needs to hear today. Drop a comment. Who's your Devadatta, and how are you choosing peace? Let's grow together. One story, one act of compassion, one moment of grace at a time. Until next time, stay wise and stay kind.